Curry. In today's video, we're going to go over all the market news that you need to know for Tuesday. We're also going to cover why tech stocks went on a massive bull run today and whether now is the time to buy in or if it's the time to sell and take profits. So we'll talk about whether the bull run is going to continue, how long it might last. And then once we're done with all of that, we're going to get into your stock picks. So be thinking about which stock picks you guys want to talk about, and we will discuss those shortly. What I want to do right now is we're going to go ahead and start by taking a look at the market news. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Let me get this pulled up here. I don't have one of those fancy Stream Deck things, so I have to do a little bit more button clicking, but we'll get there. And let's see. All right, there we are. So first up on the news front, Biden basically was saying that President Putin needs to go on trial for war crimes over the Russian killing of civilians in Ukraine. Now, this could be a bit of a problem because the issue here is that if we do actually try to put Putin on trial, I mean, obviously, he's not going to be like, oh, yeah, sure, let me go to trial. No, like he's going to fight it, right? So that's just kind of silly and, ridiculous. So obviously, that's not really going to happen. So what we're going to have to do is just kind of keep our eyes on, how this all plays out. Right now, it's just a bunch of talk, but certainly we're going to have to be thinking about, okay, how might this play out in the future? So just something to keep our eyes on. If the Ukraine crisis actually gets worse, then this could lead to some pretty significant downfall for the markets. Right now, obviously, the markets are going up because the Ukraine crisis has actually gotten, much better. It's getting pretty good. So it's good news right now, but something to keep our eyes on. All right. The next thing that we're going to talk about is actually this Ukraine war could be about to get a lot worse. So here's the issue with that is that the United States is now warning that Russia will intensify its military operations in Ukraine. Now, essentially what they're trying to do here is Russia is basically saying, okay, we couldn't take Kiev, so we're going to give up on that. And Russia's just basically moving their troops away from Kiev, and they're going to move all their troops over to the eastern flank and just try to take that two regions over there that have been contested for the past couple of years. Essentially, just expand they already have Crimea, and then they want to go a little bit further north into Ukraine. So essentially, Russia is saying, we can't actually take Ukraine, so let's just take this little region of it instead. Now, that's what they're claiming. That's what the United States thinks. That's what a lot of people think, but who knows? I mean, President Putin is a madman. And whenever you are irrational, you're very difficult to predict. So who knows what's actually going to happen here. But if the war intensifies, this is something that might affect the markets a little bit, something that we'll have to keep our eyes on. Okay. The next thing that I want to bring up is look, I know this is all bad news, but the markets didn't care. Like, they were up today. So I've got to cover the news and then we'll cover the markets. And it's much better once we get to the markets. So when it comes to this, obviously we know China is already shutting down because the pandemic is growing and expanding. But also this more contagious variant as BA2 is on track to displace other variants in the US within the next 2 weeks. So this is going to start to become a much bigger problem in the United States. Now, if you're in a state like Florida, you're like, who cares? If you're in a state like New York, you're like, crap, more shutdowns are coming. It's really a state-by-state thing. Nobody really thinks that this is going to cause a major problem nationwide. Dr. Fauci said he does not expect this BA2 to cause a major surge. But again, it's just something else we're going to have to keep our eyes on, which could cause the markets to go down a little bit if this gets much worse. Okay, the next bit of news that we got to talk about is just a warning from somebody that a lot of people have a lot of respect for. and that is Jamie Dimon. So Jamie Dimon, who is the CEO of JP Morgan, he says that there's a lot of risks in the market ahead, mainly the Ukraine war, inflation, rising interest rates, pretty much everything we've been talking about on the channel for a while. He's basically just coming out and saying, look, this is going to continue to be a problem. This is not something we can just ignore. We really need to focus on the fact that there's some significant headwinds, and we should not just be rising up and just keep going up. We have some issues in the world. So here's the issue, though. After all of that bad news, how did our markets do? Well, the S&P rose and the NASDAQ actually gained 1.9%. And on top of that, the QQQ was up 2%. Now, in a minute here, I'm going to show you that this rise was not just straight up market wide. It was actually limited to a very small number of stocks. And I'll explain in a minute. But first, I got a little bit more news I got to go over for you. So here's the next deal. And this is what kind of kickstarted everything. You guys already know about this, but I'll just bring it up in case you somehow missed it. Twitter just had its best day since its IPO, thanks to Elon Musk. Twitter shares TWTR were up 27% today. And it was because Elon Musk purchased a 9.2% stake in TWTR. But check this out. He actually purchased that stake on March 14th. Now, he only just now revealed it, but he actually purchased the stake on March 14th. Now, check this out. I got to pull up the Twitter chart for you because this is crazy. So let me pull this chart up. And what you're going to see is if we go back to March 14th, Elon Musk basically bought Twitter at the bottom. I'm talking the dead bottom. Elon Musk bought this thing at the bottom, which means if he bought on March 14th, he bought for around $33. It closed today at $50. So how much did Elon Musk make off of that? Well, he made a 51% profit off of his 10% stake in TWTR. That also makes Elon Musk the largest shareholder for Twitter, larger than literally any other shareholder. And people are saying, okay, he's going to have to get a seat on the board. And so all the tweets that he's been putting about, do you think Twitter is fair? Do you think, there's free speech? All this stuff. Obviously, Elon Musk is going in there to make a major change in Twitter. Now, this ended up having a very negative effect on something else. DWAC. This is the SPAC that's taking Donald Trump's Truth Social public. DWAC was down 10% today, and it has been falling. I mean, if we go back to March 3rd or March 2nd, it hit a high of $101. Today, it's at half of that, down to $56.94, and then after hours got down to $56.33. This thing has just been falling fast. In addition to the bad news about, well, it was good news for Twitter, but bad news for Truth Social. In addition to that, two key executives at Truth Social just quit. So Truth Social is in a world of hurt right now, and DWAC is falling to kind of go along with that. And in addition to that, some people are speculating that Trump is now focused on re-election at the next election, and so he just doesn't care about his Truth Social anymore. He's kind of moved on to the election. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's kind of what people are thinking. So we had a lot of bad news that came out today, at least a lot of news that should have caused some concern. And yet the markets went up. Now I got to show you this because this is crazy. The markets were up because of large cap, mega cap tech stocks. If you look here, you're going to see it was Apple, Amazon, and Tesla. Those are the three stocks that basically brought the entire market up today. Three stocks brought the entire market up. Now, first of all, how is that even possible? Well, first of all, you got to remember that Amazon, Apple, Tesla. These are some of the biggest companies in the world, and they are the most heavily weighted in the NASDAQ and the S&P. So when these go up, the entire index goes up. It doesn't matter if every other stock in the index falls. If these three are up, then the whole index is up. So that's one thing you kind of have to understand is just because the market is up doesn't mean all stocks were up. In fact, most of my stocks were down today. These three are the ones that caused the markets to go up. So now I want to go take a look at these. We'll take a look at a few more, but I want to kind of go through some of these. So let's start with Microsoft. That's another big one. It was up 1.79% today. Apple was up 2.37% today. Tesla was up 5.61% today. And Twitter was up 27% today. Absolute massive run-ups in the market. Now, this ended up being a pretty big problem for me. And the reason is because when I was doing my technical analysis, as I put into the video yesterday, I was seeing a downfall here. I'm seeing the MACD kind of go down. I'm seeing overbought on the RSI. In my mind, all of this pointed to at least Tesla going down. Go take a look at Apple. Same thing, MACD falling. We had a drop here. I mean, everything pointed to Apple going down. So I actually opened up some bearish positions on Apple and Tesla today. And well, as you can see, that did not work out so well. I got absolutely demolished today in my trading account. And this is just something, you don't make money every single day. I know a lot of you guys are down, and I'm certainly down today, massively. So it happens. And this is what I was kind of saying in my video yesterday of why you don't want to have more than 10% of your account for trading. You want to have 90% of it, at least 90 to 95% as just long-term investments you don't touch. And then the other 10%, 5% is what you actually use for trading. Because if you get a day like this where you're betting the market's going to go down because you did all your technical analysis and then the stocks you bet on actually go up and you lose your money, you're not blowing up your portfolio. And I've seen so many people that literally just blew up their accounts because they just went all in with options and then the options turned against them and they lost everything. So excuse me, this is why you definitely want to trade options with a very small portion of your portfolio. Okay, the next thing that I want to do here, now that we've gone through all of that and kind of explained what's going on, let's go ahead and get into some of your stock picks. Now, if you're watching the replay and you're like, I just wanted the market news, wanted to kind of know what's going on, well, this is the end of that segment of this video. You can sign off now. There's no need to watch any further. But if you want to watch the technical analysis on your stock picks, then that's what we're going to get into right now. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and just take a look at the comments. And then just give me 1 second. I'm going to get some tea to help out my throat here. And then we'll get into some of your technical analysis. By the way, guys, with the markets going up today, it was kind of wild. Like I was trying to figure out why these tech stocks are up. I guess I forgot to talk about that. So, I was looking at, okay, well, why were the tech stocks up today? Because in my mind, it just didn't really make any sense, right? And as I was looking at, I'm doing the research, I'm looking at like other Discords and trying to see what they're saying. And what I'm seeing on other Discords like Lucrum Investing, people are like, whoa, that rise came out of nowhere. And the day traders lost money. And I'm looking at CNBC and the analysts on CNBC, and they're saying, I don't know why the markets are up today. Like, I think somebody actually said that he was surprised to see the markets up today. There's literally no explanation for it. What I think happens is I think that as Twitter rose because of Elon Musk, that in turn just kind of carried over to all of the other mega cap tech stocks. And that Apple and Tesla, well, Tesla may have been up a little bit more because of the whole Elon Musk thing. But I think it kind of carried over into Apple and Microsoft and Tesla. And it was just the Twitter thing carried over. I think that's what happened, but I don't know for sure. Nobody really knows for sure. But that would be my guess, right? That is what I think happened. Now, I actually posted in the Discord today that the markets are quite frankly behaving irrationally. And just like Putin, who's an irrational man, you cannot predict what he's going to do next. And so you have to tread very carefully. This is why the U.S. kind of backed off on sending, troops and weapons into Ukraine, is because President Biden, frankly, was scared of what Putin might do, because Putin's a very irrational man. He could literally do anything at any time that makes no sense. I mean, he could fire nuclear weapons. Who knows? He's just irrational. Well, the same thing happens in the stock market. When the stock market becomes irrational, you have to tread very carefully. You got to just take a step back. You've got to be very careful, maybe hold a little bit of extra cash on the sidelines, because when the markets behave irrationally, first of all, they can remain irrational for a very long period of time. You know, the old famous saying, markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. So that's one thing you got to be careful of. The second thing is, you have to understand that when the markets are behaving irrationally, they are impossible to time. You literally cannot time or predict a market that's behaving irrationally. So before we get into your stock picks, I just want to say, be careful and tread lightly, because we're in dangerous times until things kind of get back in line. Okay, let's get into your stock picks. What I'm going to do now is just take a look at your comments and we'll get into it. So I want to kind of think about, again, we're looking for things where people are asking about multiple different tickers. So I think we've just covered this. No, I cannot infer where the market's going this week because the markets are irrational. So unfortunately, no. Brother, I'm here to help you, man. I'm doing everything I can. I've been posting the trades. We made a lot of money over the last 2 weeks. Unfortunately, we lost some today, but that's what this YouTube channel is all about. It's just helping you make money. Apple, I think we kind of already discussed that. I think, we've already covered Apple. Thoughts on the market Wednesday? Okay, so for those of you guys who don't know, don't forget that on Wednesday, the Fed meeting minutes are being released. Now, when the January Fed meeting minutes were released in February, it was a big nothing. It was pretty much everything we already expected. When the December meeting minutes were released in January, it was a huge shock to the market, and it's what actually kickstarted the entire bear market that we're in now. And so who knows? The Wednesday meeting minutes could be nothing, and the Wednesday meeting minutes could absolutely rock the markets. I think at this point, the markets are pretty much pricing in perfection. It's just going to take one piece of bad news that the markets really kind of grab onto for things to turn around and start going back down. So, Wednesday honestly kind of concerns me, because with the markets pricing in pretty much everything being fine, if there's anything in those meeting minutes that points to everything not being fine, I think we could see a downturn in the market. So, I'm a little concerned right now. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I'm definitely concerned. Okay, let's go take a look at a few others here. Okay, we got a couple of people asking about SOXL. Let's go take a look at SOXL. Now, this is a semiconductor ETF. It's not just a semiconductor ETF. It's a 3 times leveraged semiconductor ETF. So what I want to do on this is, if we were just doing technical analysis, obviously this chart is extremely bearish. We have the candles below all of the EMAs. The MACD hasn't formed a death cross yet, but it's about to. It looks pretty darn bearish. But what I want to do is pull up the weekly chart, because sometimes you get a little bit better idea on the weeklies. So obviously, starting in, this would have been the bottom in the pandemic, March 2020. it rose up with the rest of the market. And then just kind of hovered around here, formed a little ascending triangle, which is bullish. Then when we had, all the chip shortages and everything, we had this big spike up. Now we've had a spike down. The question really is, how are supply chain issues going? This is the weekly chart again we're looking at. So the question is, with the supply chain, are things getting better? Are they getting worse? And, based upon what companies have been saying in their earnings, things are getting better. So I can understand why SOXL would be going down right now if things are getting better in the supply chain. Now, that said, while we are still bearish, it does look like we have some pretty strong support here at around $28. And the weekly MACD is rising. So in the short term, we probably got some more pain, but maybe in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we bottom out and we can start going back up from there. That's kind of what that looks like on the technicals. Okay, let's see what else you guys are asking about. Okay, I know a lot of people have been talking about GGPI. I've seen this in a lot of the comments on Discord, actually multiple Discords. So let's talk about this. So first of all, obviously we had a major run up on GGPI today, 11% bump here. We've had major run-ups before and it just fell right back down. So we'll have to see. Let's go take a look at the news. And here we go. Why was it up today? Good question. So basically, I guess they reported deliveries. They had 29,000 vehicles delivered. All right, so it appears some of this must have been, okay, then we also have this news right here. The Polestar 2 single motor electric vehicles now available in the United States. So obviously we had a lot of really, really great news come out for that today. But the biggest problem with this stock is, I think, the short interest. If I remember correctly, this thing is just shorted beyond belief. Let's take a look at Ortex here and see what we can find. So NASDAQ GGPI, short interest. Yeah, we're at 97% utilization on that. It looks like we had a little bit of covering a few days ago in anticipation of a possible run up, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that spike back up. Short sellers don't like to give up that easily. I suppose we could have a bit of a short squeeze here. Certainly that could be a possibility. That would be awfully nice. But I don't think it's going to happen yet. In my mind, my experience, we're going to need a whole lot more of a rise before we get an actual short squeeze. Like, look at what happened here and then the big rise up. That's what caused us to start going back down. So it was a long time of going up before we actually got a short squeeze on it. Now it's heavily shorted again. It looks honestly like this is going to be sort of a one-day thing, if you will. It doesn't look like we're going to get much. I'll just check the short interest over on Fintel real fast, see if we can get an actual count. And so this would have been on Friday. There was 1.2 million shares. And then today it dropped to 80,000. Yeah, so it looks like shorts are getting ready to load up and reshort this. It's probably going to come back down. Okay, let's go on to the next stock and we'll see what else we got here. Let's see. Yeah, let's go talk about DraftKings. We haven't talked about that one in a while. Was that DKNG? I think it was. So DKNG, DraftKings. Ugh. I do see it went up. But as bullish as the markets have been over the past few weeks, I feel like this should have gone up a lot more. Uh, yeah, it's still kind of expensive. Just see, was there any? All right, so looks like DraftKings is expanding to Puerto Rico. I mean, they're always expanding, but it doesn't seem like it's mattering much. Revenues continue to increase. That's good, but losses remain. I don't know. This one, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, it is bullish on the technicals. It is. But it's also struggling to get above the 50-day EMA. And last time we got up here and it fell back down. Did we actually get a crossover in the MACD? We did not. It's actually, yeah. The 10-day and 21-day have been flat and even. It's not really I mean, theoretically it is. It's a 5-cent crossover, but not really. Yeah, I would say weak bullishness on that one. Kind of hard to say. I wouldn't jump into it until I could see a little bit more bullishness, a little bit more confirmation. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. DraftKings we just talked about. All right, so you're asking about the 95%. So this goes back to what I was saying a little bit earlier of how I, use 5 to 10% to trade and then the other 90 and 95% long term. So a few months ago, I put out a video of some of the best long-term stocks. And for me, I really like the stocks that retail traders aren't really jumping into a lot, that aren't really being, manipulated upward or downward. So VALE is one that I had loaded up on for long-term holds. That obviously has been performing extremely well for me. CLF is another one that I bought into. Again, another stock that's been performing extremely well for me. What else do I have? I've got WBA. WBA obviously has not been going well. You win some, you lose some. But I bought it in over here. So what am I down? Like $2 on it, 5%. I'm not that concerned about it. I'm trying to think what else I have. Basically, you'd have to go back and watch the video that I made a few months ago, and I've got to make an update because that video is coming up on 6 months old. So what I'll do for you guys is I'll make another video for long-term holds, and I'll try to throw maybe 10 or 15 stocks in there, just like I did last time, that would be good long-term hold stocks. So that's what I'll do for you guys. Let me just grab my little paper here, and I'll make a note to go ahead and do that so I don't forget. So make video for long-term hold stocks. All right, I'll get that done for you guys, and then hopefully that helps you guys out. I know most of the stocks that I had in my last video were up quite a bit. Okay, PayPal. I know quite a few people want to know what's going on with this. So PayPal is kind of like DraftKings. I mean, it is bullish on the technicals. We're above the 10-day and 21-day on the EMAs. We had the 10-day crossover the 21. That's bullish. The MACD is still bullish. RSI is rising, which is bullish. I guess my only concern in the short term on PYPL is that we're coming up on the 50-day EMA, $125. And that also happens to be a resistance level for PYPL. So in the short term, PYPL is going to have a little bit of difficulty getting above $125. But longer term, I like it. As we can see on the weekly chart here, PYPL just had a golden cross on the weekly chart. So long term, PYPL looks great. Short term, it might struggle a little bit. But I like PYPL for a long-term hold. I don't like it as a trade, but I do like it as a long-term hold. That would be one of your 95% stocks. All right, let's see what else. We talked about that. We talked about that. We already talked about that. DraftKings we talked about. It's the same stocks over and over. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention Tesla deliveries. So if you guys didn't know, Tesla delivered 310,000 vehicles. It was their best quarter ever, but it was a little bit below expectations. So part of the rise in Tesla may have been the fact that they had their best quarter ever on deliveries. Outside of that, their Shanghai plant remains shut down. So, next quarter, where we go from here, kind of depends upon how long this Shanghai plant remains shut down. Ultimately, it's a small portion. I think they've only lost like 1% of their production capacity so far. So it's not that big of a deal yet, but it could be in the future. But so far, yeah, Tesla deliveries, they just had their best quarter ever. So that certainly helped bring the price up today. All right, let's see. Yeah, please, hit the, there's my little thingy. Hit the like button and subscribe. It helps out the channel. Appreciate you guys. Love you all. Really do. DraftKings I already talked about. Wow. Let's see. It is Monday in some places of the world. It is Tuesday in other places of the world. Who's from the UK? Get some UK in the chat here. Let's see what else we got. There's a few Fed members talking this week, but not Jerome Powell. DraftKings we already talked about. NEO. There we go. Finally, a different stock. Let's go into NEO. So NEO has been rising up 8% today. It's been doing extremely well. More good news coming out of China. China is now saying that they are going to allow the U.S. regulators to inspect Chinese financial statements so that we can actually audit them to help prevent some of these stocks from being delisted. So really great news on NEO today. The other thing I want to point out in NEO is, we were already bullish, but we were struggling to get above this $22.25 resistance level. In fact, we had bounced off of it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And today we broke through. Now that we're above that resistance level, NEO should be free to rise up at least to this 100-day EMA at $26.50 and possibly up to the next resistance level at $27.85. So NEO is really bullish right now. I would be very comfortable, even with possibly call options on NIO. What would a single leg call option be on NIO? $1.12, so $25 break even price. Yeah, you could probably double your money with that. I'd be very comfortable opening just straight up call with NIO. It looks really bullish. DKNG and NIO talked about them. DraftKings talked about it. All right, something else. Talked about all those. Let's go into CHPT. Here's a new one. And wow, I haven't looked at this stock in a long time, but that is super bullish. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful chart right there. Yeah, that is really strong bullishness on CHPT. I think it's a good momentum play. It looks great. Really, really, really great. This looks like it would make a great momentum play just to continue with it, just right back up. Yeah, I mean, at this point, it could get to $26. Looks like a great stock. I don't know what timing, and we'll probably have a few more of these pullbacks like this and this. Might come up, pull back down, and before going up again. But medium term, over the next few, say, 3-4 weeks, it looks really good. So CHPT, definitely bullish. Talked about it. There we go. PLTR, let's bring up this guy. And on PLTR, same thing, very bullish. We are breaking above our resistance levels. We are above 3 of the EMAs now. Bullish, bullish, bullish. This is beautiful. This is really beautiful. I don't know if it's going to stop here at the 100-day EMA at 1550, but if it continues with this much strength, we'll probably get up to about $17 on this guy. So another stock kind of like CHPT. Not sure of the timing, but looks pretty bullish over the next month. All right, let's see what else we got. Talked about a lot of those already. I'm going to kind of go a little bit faster here, see if we can all right, so where did it go? All right, a few requests for Solana. SOL USD over here on Webull. So Solana looks really bullish, but it's overbought up here on the technicals. MACD is starting to come down a little bit. It looks like we're probably going to have a little bit of a pullback on SOL before we continue higher. I don't know how much of a pullback, but it looks like we're going to get a pullback. I don't know if it's going to get down to 120 or possibly 100, but it definitely looks like this is wanting to pull back and take a bit of a breather before it continues higher. It looks pretty bullish. I think the weeklies are, the weeklies about to have a golden cross on the MACD. So the weekly looks great, but we definitely need a little bit of a breather before we continue higher. So I'd say wait. And then once we get a pullback down here, somewhere between 100 to 120, that's when I would start buying in. Maybe start dollar cost averaging in around like 124 and just keep dollar cost averaging in from that point onward. It's kind of what I'm thinking there. But longer term bullish, short term bearish. All right, let's see what else we got. So you talked about all of those. Oh yeah, so SBUX. So Howard Schultz, who is the founder of Starbucks, is now interim CEO, and he started today on Monday, and his very first order of business was to suspend share buybacks. Now, obviously, investors did not like that, which is why the stock was down almost 4% today. Long term, this is actually good for the company because it's going to allow Starbucks to hold on to more cash, which they plan on investing into training and helping out their baristas. So long term, this is actually a good thing for the company, even though I know short-term investors don't really like it. So I would say, the technicals are not looking very good. The technicals are bearish, but the fundamentals, I think, are becoming more bullish. Forward P of 26. It's still kind of high, actually. Yeah, I don't know. I would wait. I don't think this is done falling. I would wait before buying in. Maybe give it another month or so. We'll see. I know they're going to start becoming more bullish, but for now, it's looking bearish. So I would say wait on that one. All right, let's see what else we got. By the way, any of your other questions you feel I might not have gotten to, just go watch the replay because I'm skipping over all the questions that I've already covered. Let's see. Why is PLUG up 12% today? I don't know. I haven't looked at this stock in a while. Wow. That's impressive. Let's go check the news. Why is PLUG stock up today? Good question. Why is it up today? News out of engine maker Cummins have raised the prospects. Okay. Cummins will sell its 2.5 megawatt electrolyzer to produce hydrogen-powered taxi fleet. So it looks like Cummins Engines now plans to use Plug Power's technology to create a taxi fleet of hydrogen vehicles. If the project comes to fruition, it would be the largest hydrogen-powered taxi fleet in the world by 2024. So we're about 2 years away from that happening. And then just a bunch of stuff about, yay, we're both great companies. Obviously, yeah. So that's great news for Plug Power to get that contract. It's going to be more long-term. Price of sales at 35 still makes this a very expensive stock. Yeah. I mean, fundamentally, PLUG is very expensive. Very expensive. Certainly, the technicals are bullish. I don't know. I don't like it, honestly. The technicals are bullish, but the fundamentals, this thing is way overvalued still. And I'm just afraid that this momentum is just going to die at some random point and it's just going to go down. It's kind of a bit of a gamble. You could make money on it. You could lose a lot of money on it. I don't know. It's kind of a gamble to me. But it went up because of the Cummins still. All right, let's see if anybody else is kind of talking about. Okay, I've seen SoFi pop up in the list a few times. Let's go bring up this guy, SOFI. Man, that's a bummer. Look at this. The technicals are bearish. By the way, SoFi is one of my long-term holds as well. And I'm losing money on it. Man. I know I added on a bunch more. I don't know when. They had some news come out and I added on a bunch more, but it was up here somewhere around 13, 14 bucks. Yeah, this is one that I'm also losing money on. I don't know why it's going down, guys. I really thought the bank charter deal would cause this thing to go up. Unfortunately, it's just not, and I don't get it. Typically, when things don't make sense, what you're usually dealing with is short sellers. Let's go take a look. SOFI. There you are. We'll pull it up over here too. All right, bring the shorts up there, bring the shorts up here, and get rid of all this stuff. Let's go to utilization. Whew, there you go. 100% maxed out utilization. This stock looks a whole lot like, not the stock chart, but the short interest looks an awful lot like AMC and GME right now. So what happens when you get this maxed out utilization, meaning all of the available shares to short have already been shorted and the stock keeps going down? That usually means we're dealing with some, synthetic shares. Now, what's interesting to me, and this doesn't make a lot of sense. So Ortex is saying that there is 100% utilization, meaning there are no shares left available to borrow. And Findel is saying there's 2 million shares left available to borrow. So let's go see what the float is on this. And our float, where is it? 600 million shares. If there's 2 million shares available to borrow and there's 600 million shares total, this calculator overloads. All right. So 600 times 100. All right. So that puts the utilization at 99.67%. So So yeah, okay, a little bit of discrepancy there, but not too much. What I really want to do is, unfortunately, the failure to delivers are kind of old news. Whoa, 9 million. Okay, I'm not shocked to see that at all. Not at all. This is what happens. Or sorry, nine was that? Yeah, 1 million shares short. Failure to 1 million failure to delivers, 100% utilization, discrepancies. Yeah, I'm not. This is becoming an AMC GME stock, where short sellers have shorted all available shares, and they've tacked on more to boot. So yeah, that's what's happening here. We have more than the available shares available have been shorted. So uh, you know, same thing as AMC GME. I told you, anytime you see something that doesn't make sense, you can almost guarantee shorts are involved. All right, let's keep going. Uh, okay, so you're saying that CNN Business says the global supply chain mess has gotten much worse. It's interesting because the earnings calls, CEOs are saying it's getting better. So I guess we'll have to see what happens when earnings start up at the end of April and kind of see what people have to say. All right, just looking. Okay, so question for ADA. This is going to be Cardano, ADA USD. Okay, so we had talked a lot about this. We get rid of this. Is going to be old technical analysis. We can drop that. We'll keep the bottom one. It hasn't gone away yet. So I don't know if we can draw a new line. Probably not. Nah, it's too old. Okay. So let's go look at some short term here. Obviously, we've been bullish for quite a while on ADA, but I am noticing on the MACD that we're starting to slow down. We don't have any confirmation of bearishness yet, but we are slowing down. And that's kind of coinciding with this consolidation that we're seeing here. We were also overbought on the RSI, which is now, we're still near overbought. If we take a look at the weekly is bullish. So the weekly, we did get a golden cross. We've been rising up on the weekly. But again, we're just hitting some really strong resistance on ADA. We may get, because we are at this strong resistance level here at this 21-week EMA, it's possible that we get a little bit of a pullback before we continue higher. Now, I'm just basing that off of the daily chart where we're kind of slowing down here. And it's possible we don't. It's possible we break through and just skyrocket upwards. So I don't know. This one could go either way. I would say short term is probably more likely to be bearish. Long term is more likely to be bullish. But we don't have confirmation in either direction. So this one's a little bit of a toss up. All right. Let's see. We already talked about SOL, but you kind of bring up an interesting question. So I don't know. You're asking if it's going to triple in price this year. I don't know. It would take a lot for cryptos to run up that much. I think you'll be lucky to have anything double in price, but who knows? We get another bull run on cryptocurrencies. Absolutely, it could happen. There's literally no telling. All right, so some people are saying maybe go SQQQ, UVXY tomorrow. I don't know. Here's my problem with that. Let me pull up QQQ for example. So for those of you guys who don't know, SQQQ, UVXY, this is basically an inverse of the market. So these will go up if the markets go down. So here's my problem, is that if we take a look at the technicals, again, I just use QQQ because this is the one I've done the most technical analysis on. So we hit the 50% Fibonacci retracement level, which became a level of support. And then we skyrocketed up over it on Monday. So Tuesday, I wouldn't be surprised if we get back up to the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement level on Tuesday. I also would not be surprised if we just kind of ignored this little blip and just kept going down. And then on top of that, Wednesday is a huge unknown. The markets could move massively up or down on Wednesday, depending upon what those Fed meeting minutes say. So, I wouldn't be licking my lips and thinking that SQQQ and UVXY are guarantees. I would not do that at all. Like I said, we're in irrational markets. Tread carefully. Don't try to time the markets right now. It's not a good idea. All right. We got thank you for your VALE call, up 60% since you talked about them. Yeah, you're welcome. I really appreciate it. The account that I have a pretty large position of VALE in is up 40% on year to date. So from January 1st today, I'm up 40% in that account. It's just been absolutely amazing. That's literally VALE is my best performing stock of the entire year so far. So, you're welcome. All right. A few people asking about AMC. And guys, just a reminder, we're at about 41 minutes here. I'm going to have to cut this off before we get to the hour mark. So we got about 9 minutes left. Okay. So AMC, by the way, I did buy shares in AMC. I told you I bought that put option on AMC, made money off of that. And then I used the profits to buy actual shares of AMC. My buy price was $23. So, I'm up whatever, 31 cents, 15 cents, whatever. But basically, taking a look at this. So, we had the big run up. This, run up. As I had said or last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, I said, this is not enough. I said $29 is where short sellers, that was their average price of shorting the stock. I said this would have to get way above $29 before short sellers started capitulating and selling off AMC. And unfortunately, that just did not happen. So short term, we are not getting nearly enough price action to cause a short squeeze, not even close. So unless retail traders can turn this thing around and jump back in, we're not going to get a short squeeze on it yet. That said, technically we are holding the 10-day EMA, and what is this? The 50-day EMA? No, it's 100-day EMA. So technically we're holding the 50 and 100-day EMA, but it is coming back down. We do have this drop in the MACD. Nothing confirmed yet. We don't have any confirmed bullishness yet. This is crossroads with your RSI near 50. This is a crossroads. So literally AMC at this point could go either way. We're nowhere close to a short squeeze yet, but in the short term, this could go either way. I have no idea. It's just going to depend upon what retail traders are able to do with the stock over the next few days. All right. My thoughts on the housing market. We've already seen refi mortgage is go down 60%. I read another article that said that new applications for mortgage purchases were down 16%, which means we are going to get a downturn in the housing market. Absolutely guaranteed. I don't know when, but we will get a downturn in the housing market. Kevin thinks we're about 3 months away. That seems about right to me. But yeah, it looks like we are going to get a downturn. That's all I can really say about that. All right, let's see. Talked about a lot of those. All right, here's same person. All right, you know what? We'll just pull up. I'm not going to pull up HYMC, but we'll pull up GME real fast. Wow, this is actually looking a lot better than AMC is. We're still near overbought here, which might be a problem. Obviously, momentum is slowed down, but what makes GME a little bit more bullish is the fact that we're above all of the candles. Now, your question is short utilization. So Let's go ahead and pull that up real fast, and we will do GME. And we are at 100%. No changes there. Like I said, shorts have absolutely no reason to cover. Why cover when you're not even back up to the price that you shorted it at? All right, let's see if we can get GameStop pulled up here. And just double check on Fintel. Yep, 0 shares available to short. That's definitely 100% utilization. So we didn't see anything show up in the FTDs recently. So it's not like that clear, obvious, manipulation that we saw in SoFi. But we're definitely at 100% utilization. What was your other question? HYMC. We'll pull that one up real fast. All right, got 4 minutes left, so we're going to have to get through these kind of fast here, guys. But hopefully we can do that for you. Looks like it says 81% on this guy. So up there, but a few shorts have obviously covered for a loss, but not really a full-on short squeeze. It would have to keep rising if you were to get a short squeeze. So up there, but not certainly shorts could add on more short positions and push this down further. Keep in mind that HYMC really didn't have too much fundamental change. It was just AMC buying them. So, but also AMC says they're going to buy possibly as many as 7 or 8 other companies. So we could see the HYMC thing happen over and over again. Let's see what else we got. Oh my gosh, you guys are asking about so many stocks. This is amazing. All right, I'm just going to pull up a few more real fast. Let's see. A few people asked about Volta VLTA. So we'll do this one. It's 100% bearish. It's literally a falling knife. So yeah. I don't know. I mean, this is kind of the problem with the SPACs is sometimes this happens. I wouldn't buy into it until I saw some actual signs of turnaround, some bullishness, and even getting we'd have to get pretty far above the 21-day EMA because even a few closes above it just isn't cutting it. We'd have to get up here and like touch the 50-day EMA or close above it for me to see bullishness on this. Yeah, this is sad. This is really sad. What is the other one you guys were talking about? You guys were talking about ZIM. Yeah, we'll talk about ZIM. We'll make this the last ticker. So ZIM is going to be the last ticker, guys. I want to thank you guys for joining us. I really, really appreciate you guys, joining us today. It's going to be our last ticker here, ZIM. So what do we got? All right, this is a stock that was bullish for a long time, but has now turned bearish, very bearish. However, if you guys recall, I put about $67 somewhere in here was my ideal buy-in price. Now, here's why. Obviously, it ran up going into that massive quarterly dividends, right? And I don't know if they're going to do another dividend like that in a quarter or in 6 months, but they're a little sporadic. They pay out dividends about every 6 months on average. So I don't know what's going to happen, but let's ignore that dividend drop for a second from 91 down to 67. And I want to look a little bit longer term at how the stock kind of performs. And what you notice is we constantly get bounces off of the 100-day EMA. So bounce, 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 bounce. To me, I know this is bearish on the technicals, but this is a great time to load up for a long-term hold. This is my load up price. I would buy this for a long-term hold. All right, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us. Before you go, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow.